Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from first group. We will present about the production of speech sound. Before we start our presentation, let me introduce the member of my group. The first is Ahmad Anum. The second is Ghofind Yusuf Prasetyo. The third is Muhammad Handika Akbar Syah. Speech production is the process by which thoughts are translated into speech. This includes the selection of words, the organization of relevant grammatical form, and then the articulation of the resulting sounds by the motor system using the vocal apparatus. Speech production can be spontaneous, such as when a person creates the words of a conversation; reactive, such as when they name a picture or read aloud a written word; or imitative, such as in speech repetition. Speech production is not the same as language production, since language can also be produced manually by scenes. How can we produce speech? In this section, we will study the production of speech sounds from an articulatory point of view in order to understand better subsequent section about vowel and consonant sounds. It must be said that speech does not start in the lungs. It starts in the brain and it is then studied by psycholinguistics. After the creation of the message and the lexico-grammatical structure in our mind, we need a representation of the sound sequence and a number of commands which will be executed by our speech organs to produce the utterance. So we need a phonetic plan and a motor plan. After these mental operations, we come to the physical production of sounds. Speech then is produced by an air stream from the lungs, which goes through the trachea and the oral and nasal cavities. It involves four processes: initiation, phonation, oral nasal process, and articulation. The initiation process is the moment when the air is expelled from the lungs. In English, speech sounds are the result of a pulmonic aggressive air system. Although that is not the case in all languages. Aggressive sounds. The phonation process occurs at the larynx. The larynx has two horizontal folds of tissue in the passage of air. They are the vocal folds. The gap between these folds is called the glottis. The glottis can be closed, as in figure. Then no air can pass, or it can have a narrow opening which can make the vocal folds vibrate, producing the voice sound. Finally, it can be wide open as in normal breathing, and thus the vibration of the vocal folds is reduced, producing the voiceless sound. After it has gone through the larynx and the pharynx, the air can go into the nasal or the oral cavity. The volume is the part responsible for that selection, as you can see in the figure. Through the oral nasal process, we can differentiate differ, differentiate between the nasal consonants. Finally, the articulation process is the most obvious one. It takes place in the mouth and it is the process through which we can differentiate mouth speech sound. In the mouth we can distinguish between the oral cavity, which acts as a resonator, and the articulator, which can be active or passive, upper and lower lips, upper and lower teeth, tongue, tip, plate, front, back, and roof the mouth, alveolar, right, palate, and velum. So, speech sounds are distinguished from one another in terms of the place where and manner how they are articulated. Okay, everyone, I think enough uh, for our presentation. I do apologize for any mistake, and the last I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.